just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the Vet-Tec program. If you're listening to this, I know that there's varying levels of degree that you might know about the Vet-Tec program. Maybe some of you have looked into the Vet-Tec program a lot. You just want to hear how SkillStorm implements this. And some of you might never have heard of the Vet-Tec program, and you're just wondering how it can benefit you and what are some of the value that it can provide to you. What is Vet-Tec, right? It's a good question. A lot of people might know, but a lot of people don't. So what Vet-Tec is, let me just tell you what it stands for, and then I'll explain it simply. So Vet-Tec stands for Veteran Employment Through Technology Education Courses, right? So that's what it stands for. What does that mean? So the VA has created the Vet-Tec program with two goals in mind. So goal number one is to train and equip veterans in a technology skill set. That's the first goal, right? So it's kind of education based in the first goal. Second goal is to get veterans employed in the tech industry. So the end goal of the Vet-Tec program, as it's created by the VA, is to get veterans employed in the tech industry, right? So that's what the Vet-Tec program is. There's a variety of different technologies that people are pursuing through the Vet-Tec program. You can see some of them listed here: cloud technologies, cybersecurity, full stack software development, computer software. So these are some of the areas in which different Vet-Tec providers train in. They train, they train veterans in, and the goal is to get them jobs that are related to that industry. So that's what the Vet-Tec program is. It's for veterans and service members who are looking to break into the tech industry, but really just have a hard time thinking about, well, where do I start? You know, I might not have a related college degree. I might not have any prior experience, but I've heard that this is a really good, really growing industry, and there's a lot of, you know, career opportunity, and there's a lot of salary opportunity and job security and job availability. Well, that's what the Vet-Tec program is. It's designed by the VA to provide an opportunity for service members to break into the tech industry and also give those service members the skills needed to succeed in that industry. So there's a few reasons why SkillStorm does this really well. So at the very bottom, you can see that some SkillStorm training partners. So what this means, SkillStorm is what's considered an authorized training partner. And the best way I can describe that is with an analogy. If you think of social media platforms and the blue check mark, right, the verified status. What that means for SkillStorm is that these companies are companies that have different technologies, right? AWS is mostly known for cloud computing. Salesforce is software development. CompTIA, their technologies are kind of a wide variety of different tech stacks. What SkillStorm is, when we say we're an authorized training partner, essentially what that means is these various companies in different areas of tech have said, we are vouching for SkillStorm, that if you want to learn our technology, if you follow the standards that they set and you keep up with the competencies and you keep up with the benchmarks that they've set in their training programs, we will promise you that you'll have the needed skill set to succeed in this industry. So that's what it means. We're kind of like the blue check mark of the tech industry with these training partners. So all of the cohorts that we train in, all of the technologies that we offer, we have the stamp of approval by the companies that we train in their technology. So hopefully that makes sense. I wanted to talk about what it means to be a preferred provider. So if you see here on the bottom left screen right here on the little paragraph, it says, as a preferred provider, SkillStorm will not be reimbursed by the VA if we're not able to find you meaningful employment. So let me explain that briefly. All providers, a provider is a company that volunteers to train and help get veterans jobs through the Vet-Tec program. Out of all the providers in the country, SkillStorm is one of only a few preferred providers. And so what that means is while other providers will receive some form of compensation from the VA if they train veterans but maybe didn't get them positions, they'll still receive some form of compensation for training the veterans. SkillStorm will not receive any compensation from the VA if we do not obtain both goals, both the training of veterans and the employment of veterans. All right, so we don't ever guarantee you a job in the tech industry, but we don't receive any money from the VA if you go through the program and you Get trained. If you do not get a position in the tech industry within 6 months after completing one of our training programs, we do not get paid anything from the VA. So the reason why that's good for veterans is because you can have confidence when you come to us for training and assistance in getting employed in the tech industry. You know that we're not going to profit anything. We're not going to make any money if we don't fulfill the goal that you have of getting into the tech industry. So that's another reason why it's beneficial to go through SkillStorm. Not only are we authorized training partners with all these tech companies, we're also a preferred provider with the VA. So I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to briefly note over here on the right-hand side, you can see that the VA wants to do everything they can to make this program available to as many people as possible. So one of the benefits that they are giving is that if you are a participant in the Vet-Tec program, you will receive your BAH, your basic allowance for housing, as being enrolled in a Vet-Tec program. Now, I wanted to mention all of SkillStorm's cohorts and their training cohorts are done remotely. We're able to service more veterans that way. We're able to kind of just branch out further. So if you're enrolled in an online program, which is what ours is, the BAH that you will receive will be half of the stipend as if you were employed or going through a training program in person. So you want to check with the VA and find out exactly how much you'll receive, because it is dependent on where you live, but it would be a 50% BAH because the program is online. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So we've talked about some of these things, right? Some of the advantages going with SkillStorm. We've talked about what it means to be a preferred provider. We also talked about the authorized training partner and what that means. But I also wanted to talk about this bottom left point right here. So SkillStorm, although we are a provider, we're a preferred provider for the Vet-Tec program. What we've done for 20 years is actually technical recruiting. And so for 2 decades, what our primary focus has been pairing talent with companies who are looking for talent, specifically in the tech industry. So for the past 20 years, that's what we've been doing. And over 20 years of recruitment and technical talent seeking, you kind of start to develop relationships with different companies, sometimes some really good companies. So one of the benefits of coming to SkillStorm to get training is that at the end of the training, whenever our goal is to transition from education to employment, you have access to a lot of these companies that we've built relationships with for over 20 years. And so it's really great to have that foot in the door with some Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies that we have that a lot of providers don't have the privilege to have. So I wanted to mention that as an advantage of going through SkillStorm as a preferred provider, as an authorized training partner, yes, but also as a technical recruiting agency who's been doing this for 20 years and have established some really good relationships with some really good companies that we could potentially set up some interviews for you at the end of the training cohorts. So that's a little bit about Vet-Tec as a whole, right? That's kind of like the concept of it. Now let's talk about a little bit, what are some of the specific technologies that you train in, right? What can I learn? What are some options for me to learn if I choose to go with you at SkillStorm? It's a good question. So before I get into the specific, there's 3 different technologies, and this is one page of a technology. I wanted to highlight what is the commitment, right? And you can see it down here, right? This is a 16-week-long instructor-led training. It's going to be 640 hours, which equates to 16 weeks of full-time work. So our cohorts, you can see here, they're going to run 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday, right? You're going to have a lunch in there, right? And then you might have, up to 5 hours a week of homework, but we prefer doing full-time brief cohorts. And we say brief meaning a 16-week-long cohort. And we prefer this model because what we find is that whenever people go for 16 weeks long, that is kind of the minimum that we've said we can have you and teach you the things that you need to know to succeed in the industry. At the end of this 16 weeks, you should have, I think our goal is to give you the skill set and the knowledge and the competencies that of a college graduate. So when you think about it, that's kind of a tall order to give you in 16 weeks, which is the length of a college semester. We're going to give you the skill set that a college graduate has after going to school for 4 years. And so we believe that we can achieve that goal, and we can do a good job of that if we have you for 16 weeks long, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. We prefer that over, some of the programs that are part-time, maybe some at night, maybe some over weekends, because a lot of those cohorts can take 30 or 40 weeks long to complete, and we find that the dropout rate is probably significantly higher than it is just commit for 16 weeks long, and once you're done, you're done. And so it's the same length as a college semester. So that's the commitment level, right? Which is what we ask of everyone who's going to pursue the Vet-Tec program with SkillStorm. We ask for 16 weeks of your time, Monday through Friday, 40 to 45 hours a week. And we believe that we can give you all the skills needed in that length of time to succeed in the tech industry. So with that said, that's what all of our cohorts are going to be. They're going to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6 Eastern. It is live instruction. I wanted to highlight that. We're not going to give you 640 hours worth of recorded videos and say, watch these. If you have any questions, reach back out to us. This is going to be live instruction. So if you have a question, you can pause the instructor right then and there and say, could you clarify that for me? I have a question about this. And so I really wanted to highlight the fact that this is instructor-led training. We're not going to give you a database of videos and say, best of luck to you in your learning process. Contact us, give us an email if you run into any issues. It will be live instruction. Again, these are all remote, so they're not in person. But this is one of the programs that we offer, right? So this is going to be if you're more interested in a cybersecurity direction, right? This is our Penetration and Defense Analyst Certification program. So in this, you're going to learn a few different competencies. There's a little bit of a breakdown over here on the bottom right of what skills and competencies would be covered and how much time you would spend on each of them throughout this course. One thing I wanted to highlight is every cohort that we train in, at the end of it, you receive at least one voucher for an industry-related exam. So if you're joining us, you might have heard of CompTIA and some of their industry exams, one of them being the Security Plus exam. So what this means is if you go through the Penetration and Defense Analyst Certification program and you want to get the cybersecurity, well, we're going to train you for 640 hours, but at the end of it, we're also going to give you a voucher for one of the leading industry exams related to this field. So after you're done, you can go take this free voucher and then you can go redeem that and you can take the exam. And if you pass it, then now you have something that can beef up your resume. And so every cohort that we offer, that we train in, you'll receive at least one voucher for a certification. So here's another cohort that we train in, AWS DevOps certification program. So what this is more cloud computing, right? So what that means, cloud computing, is kind of a new concept to a lot of people. I wrote down a brief definition over here on the left. It's a way to access and use computer services like storage or processing power or software. You can utilize these over the internet without having to maintain or own your own equipment, your own physical hardware, your own infrastructure. So AWS is one of the most popular cloud computing platforms out there. And so we'll train you to operate within this framework. At the end of it, you receive actually 2 free vouchers for industry-related examinations. So you have the Cloud Practitioner, but you also have the Solutions Architect Associate vouchers that you receive by means of participating and completing this Vet-Tec cohort. There's a little bit of the curriculum that would be involved in going into the DevOps program, right? Again, same thing, it's 640 hours long, 16 weeks long, full time. And then finally, we have the Java Microservices Certification Program. This is going to be for those of you who want to become software developers. It's a great field to go in, approximately 1.3 million annual job postings a year. I would say it's by far the area of tech that has the most available jobs every year. And you can see a little bit of some of the competencies and skills that you would cover in the breakdown of that over the course of a 16-week-long training. So those are some of the cohorts that we're offering right now, right? For instance, we have a Java software development cohort that we're going to start training in February, late February. And then we have some other ones planned as well. So what's the enrollment process look like? This is a really good question. This is kind of answering the question, who can do this? So one of the key eligibility factors that the VA has determined is that you have to have, if you're going to participate in a Vet-Tec program, you have to have at least 1 day of GI eligibility remaining at the start of a Vet-Tec cohort. So I mentioned that we're going to start a Java software development cohort on February 27th, right? End of this month. So if you have 1 day of GI eligibility, if you're going to have 1 day of GI eligibility remaining on February 27th, then you should be able to participate in the Vet-Tec cohort. Again, this is through the VA, so you do have to apply for what's called a certificate of eligibility. So you want to contact the VA and ask them if you are able to participate in a Vet-Tec cohort. But you would contact them, and if they say you're approved, then they're going to send you a piece of paper called a certificate of eligibility. You can see that under the VA review and decision. I will say you do specifically need a Vet-Tec certificate of eligibility. The VA does give out several different types of certificate of eligibility, so you're going to want to get one specifically for Vet-Tec. So that's the VA side of the coin. Now on SkillStorm, we do have our own screening process because we want to make sure that the candidates that we're going to train are going to be those who are going to pursue an area of tech after the cohort's finished, so that they're not taking up a spot of a candidate who isn't that motivated to get a job in the tech industry after receiving training. So we do have our own screening process, but it all starts with eligibility. Right? It all starts with having that COE from the VA and making sure that you are able to participate. So I wanted to share that. I wanted to pause here and mention something. We've been speaking of the Vet-Tec program a lot as something for veterans, as something, and it might seem that this is a program for those who have already separated from the military. But one of the things I wanted to mention is that this can absolutely be done as a SkillBridge opportunity. And we actually really almost encourage veterans and those who are coming up on transitioning out of the military to use this as participation, to use this to be able to participate in the Vet-Tec program as a SkillBridge opportunity. That's awesome because you're still receiving your payment from the military. And so a lot of the things that you might have to consider if you're going to do the Vet-Tec program outside of having already separated from the military, you're not going to have to worry about if you participate in that from a SkillBridge standpoint. And so I wanted to mention that if you're active duty, the VA will give you a certificate of eligibility as long as you are within 180 days of your separation date. And so I would highly encourage you, if you're active duty or if you know someone who's active duty and they're coming up on transitioning out and they are kind of having a lot of those questions that they're trying to get answered before their actual separation date. One of which is, what am I going to do for a job? How can I, go about breaking into this industry? And I would highly encourage you, if that's you in that situation, or I would encourage you, if you know someone in that situation, to definitely please look into pursuing Vet-Tec as a SkillBridge opportunity. It's a perfect way to get the education that you're going to need and start the interview process with some of these companies so that by the time you're transitioning out, you may already have a position waiting for you. So I wanted to mention that. I know we've been talking about the Vet-Tec program a lot as something for veterans, but I wanted to mention that we actually highly encourage people, if you find yourself in the situation where you can use this and participate in this program as SkillBridge, please do. So if you have questions, you can always reach me by phone. You can call me or text me at that number or shoot me an email at that email right there. What we can do, you can also go on our website as well, and you can get some information about the Vet-Tec program if that's something that you have more questions about.